Welcome to a fantastic edition of Rebellion's educational series. I'm here with a tech legend, Divya Narendra, to talk about one fantastic career from employing Mark Zuckerberg to starting SumZero to just being an absolute leader in the industry. Divya, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Alex. It's very generous of you to say.
Oh, no, you're 04 Harvard, right?
Correct.
Yeah, no, my brothers were 02 and 97, and my god sister was 03. So the 04 class I actually know extremely well as well. A lot of great people there. And you met the Winklevi, two guys who I've known since we were 12, 13 years old at, was it at Harvard you met them or was it before?
Yeah, correct. I had Spanish class with Cameron when I was a freshman. And then Harvard has this like housing lottery where, you can select a group that you want to live in the same dorm with, but you can't select the dorm. We ended up in the same dorm, Fortheimer House, which is north of the Yard.
I know Fortheimer. My brother was there in 1993.
Oh, cool. So we ended up in the same
construction
dorm.
Then it wasn't a good time. There was a lot of construction all over the place, but
yeah, they're always doing work. But I actually got to know the guys initially over music. I played a lot of guitar growing up, and by the time I got into college, I was in a pretty deep hard rock, heavy metal phase. And Cameron was more of an acoustic guy, but we kind of shared a lot of mutual interest musically, and just sort of got to know each other as friends. Tyler as well. So it was I guess one thing led to another, but eventually we kind of broached the topic of entrepreneurship and got to know each other in that context as well. So it's been
the twins have
over 20 years.
Definitely, they've had entrepreneurial blood since as long as I've known them. So do you remember the actual genesis of ConnectU?
Yeah, I was just on the internet like many college students and started, experimenting with MySpace and some of the other existing social networks at the time. Friendster was popular at the time. And I had one of these light bulb moments where I realized that there was nothing, there was nothing really designed for the university experience and for students. And it became obvious very quickly that building an online social network that vets applicants out by their email addresses to ensure that they're affiliated with a given university was a simple yet very effective tool at ensuring that people would have something in common.
Yeah, the .edu was essential.
The .edu extension was essential, and it was sort of at the time felt like a no-brainer. And so the twins being in my dorm, like I was like, hey guys, do you want to help build this out? And they were super excited. I didn't even know about kind of their deep interest in entrepreneurship, but I think a lot of that comes from their dad.
Their dad's a mega brain, really brilliant guy.
Smart guy, but also a risk taker. I think he had investments across real estate, insurance. I mean, he was a PhD, like actuarial.
So I actually knew their sister first, and then I met the twins after. The whole family is really fantastic. Really.
Yeah. And really, and very much into innovation and just kind of trying things.
Well, how did you meet Mark Zuckerberg? How did he enter?
Yeah, Zuckerberg I met through this guy. His name is Sora, but he was actually the brother of one of my friends from 04. So one of my 04 friends had a brother who was 06, Mark's year. And that guy we were just chatting one day about, our hunt for engineers because we were struggling to find programmers who would be committed to building out ConnectU. And
it's still a problem to this day, 2021.
It's finding engineers is an incredibly difficult
indeed
undertaking. It's so anyway, so Sora made the introduction, and we ended up meeting Mark at his dorm. This would have been in my junior year, and the rest is sort of well documented and has become a little bit of tech folklore at this point.
But did you think the movie was true to the essence of your memories, at least?
I mean, within sort of reasonable degrees of poetic license, yes. Obviously, it was heavily dramatized, but I think that's okay.
Were you at an a cappella concert when you found out about it?
No, I found out about it through another kid in my dorm. He was 05, a year below me, who just pulled it. He just opened up the Crimson, which
May
is
I ask who that was?
Who that was? It was a guy named Michael Jaffe. So this is not part of the official record on how all of this went down, but that's how I originally found out.
No, yeah. 05 is another year of a lot of great kids. I probably friends with maybe 25% of the 05 class, actually. But Michael Jaffe sounds like a name from the past. So no falling down an a cappella concert. When you and the twins met, was the game plan just to go through lawyers, or did you want to talk to him?
Yeah, we did reach out to no avail, but ultimately we really had no recourse other than litigation. We also, as you saw, or if you remember from the film, the three of us did meet with Larry Summers. I think in the film, the scene actually only had the twins at that meeting, but I was there as well. And, I think the film captured the essence fairly well, which was just total apathy on the part of Larry Summers.
What's your top memory from the Larry Summers meeting?
Just like the general apathy. It was kind of like, it was sort of like, you guys will come up with something else. This isn't our problem.
Oh.
Like whatever was in the student handbook, which is what we were relying on as sort of the...
No, without a doubt. When you enroll at a school, whether it's my alma mater, Amherst College, or Harvard University, you take an oath with that school. So when you engage in endeavors with either professors or other students, that's, under the guise of the school you're currently enrolled at. Larry Summers, I guess at the end of the day, was really just a political appointee who cared not for anything but his own career.
And it didn't work out. It didn't work out so well for him, at least at Harvard. I mean, he was able to obviously parlay his background to very lucrative positions after leaving Harvard, but or after stepping down as president. But
he made the sexist comments, I know, which obviously
I think the school's professors carry a lot of weight as far as just who the president is and what that president's able to do. And he definitely kind of rubbed shoulders with a number of faculty the wrong way. And I think ultimately he had to step down. But I mean, speaking to our interaction, it was sort of like, yes, there's a handbook, but there's no real enforcement mechanism. Go work on something else. Good luck. It was very short and sobering. I'll leave it at that.
No, life can definitely deal you cards that.
Yeah. But overall, it was an incredible roller coaster ride, and none of us looked back. Obviously, I ended up just getting a job, and then I spent a couple years in graduate school pursuing a JD MBA. Started SumZero. The twins ended up rowing in Beijing as a pair. Did really well representing the United States, and have since done incredible things with crypto. Including launching Gemini.
No, they call it crypto. Crypto is a absolute call. They were pushing that at like $10, $15 a share. So
yeah. I mean, I remember when the New York Times article came out. I think it was like 2013 or something, where they had been reported to own like 1% or something of the entire supply of Bitcoin. But Bitcoin only scratches the surface of what's happening in the crypto revolution, and I think they've been very supportive of all of the different sort of initiatives within.
Are you worried about countries outlawing crypto though, as a direct threat to their, currency?
Am I worried about that?
Yeah, I mean, do you see China?
Well, I think like if you look at the world order, you have free countries, not so free countries, and countries in between.
Yeah.
And I think the countries that tend to have an MO of autocratic behavior are probably going to lean towards either outright bans or partial bans. But ultimately, the nature of the beast
unless you're Iran, you need it because your own currency's got no floating power. So.
Yeah, well, then I mean, I think I saw in the news, I think it was El Salvador or so there was some Latin American country that was just accepting crypto all out. They kind of are all in. I think a lot of that has to do with just inflation risk in a lot of these countries where.
As founder of SumZero, you obviously talked to just a huge amount of fund managers. Do you see most hedge fund managers embracing crypto in some extent?
I think just to backtrack a little bit, maybe I should just explain what SumZero is because a lot of people aren't going to be familiar. SumZero is an online community for professional investors to share investment research. And so we have now over 20,000 analysts and portfolio managers who work at hedge funds, mutual funds, private equity funds, even VC funds, as well as family offices that are using SumZero to exchange ideas. These ideas cover all asset classes, including equities, debt, crypto, and even we're starting to work on kind of private research on privately held companies as well, which is really interesting. But we're also making this content available to individual investors who are not working at funds. So
you ever do any research on Rent the Runaway? I'd love to see it. It's my sister-in-law's company, Jenny Fleiss. She founded it when she was getting her MBA at Harvard, actually.
Yes. Very familiar with Rent the Runway. Have had girlfriends in the past who've used it for sure. But so as far as the professionals within the SumZero ecosystem goes, I think many of them work at funds where they currently don't have a mandate to purchase crypto. So a lot of them have started doing it individually. But one thing I have noticed is that people have been posting research on crypto on SumZero. So one of the things that I think is noteworthy is that Wall Street, traditional sell-side institutions, Goldman Sachs, UBS, Credit Suisse, JP Morgan, et cetera, they don't have crypto research in any sort of meaneful way.
So
they
will
come
across like a new crypto such as Helium, something I saw on Facebook actually.
Yeah, you're not going to see it written about on, like at Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley. No. You will find really, really fascinating research, even amongst the altcoins on SumZero. So
what about private investors, $500,000 to $1 million in a Schwab account? Do you think that SumZero would be something that they should consider?
Oh, I think anybody who has an interest in investing should be on SumZero. And historically, we really only marketed SumZero to professional investors. But earlier this year, we launched 3 different subscription tiers for individual investors, so that anyone can join. And our cheapest subscription is only $350 a year. So it's like lunch money if you're out in New York or something, or dinner money. It's kind of a night out in New York. But whether you're kind of at that like $350 tier or you're kind of at one of the more expensive tiers, the quality of the content is the same. And what we're trying to push is rigorous, deep dive, fundamentally driven research that is a relief from what you see on TV from all the pundits and talking heads, and what you see, on Reddit with Wall Street Bets.
But also from 100 million to 5 billion, it's tough to get a lot of research out there. And so, even if you're some family office guy with a $10 million position in some random company that just got hit, and you're trying to find out what really is going on and what do people really think is going to happen in 6 to 18 months.
Yeah, what's interesting is
SumZero is great.
If you listen to mainstream media and even Wall Street, if you read Wall Street research, oftentimes Wall Street is not talking about, as you say, kind of those smaller market cap companies. They're typically talking about FANG. They're talking about, the big banks. They're talking about big pharma. they're very, very biased towards larger market cap companies. And so they miss all of that alpha opportunity at sort of the small and mid cap range, which is
from
where
Goldman Sachs' vantage point, when you look at the fees they're going to generate from a 50 billion market cap versus a 500 million market cap, you can understand why they would almost want to pay no attention to the 500 million market cap.
And a lot of people don't realize
no, they don't realize that.
They don't also maybe appreciate the conflicts of interest that exist with traditional Wall Street research.
Oh yeah,
and it's worth kind of repeating this, but when Goldman Sachs says to buy shares of Snapchat or to buy shares of Twitter, you have to recognize that Twitter and Snapchat are both investment banking clients of Goldman Sachs. So they're never going to say anything too negative about
to dumb it down for our viewers. It's like me saying, hey, Divya, I want to mow your lawn and I also want to rate your grass. So after you pay me to mow your lawn, I'm going to make a public rating that Divya's grass is A+ grass. It's basically.
Yeah, that gets to it. And I think that conflict of interest is something that has been plaguing Wall Street like really since inception. But if you ask yourself, like, where do I go to get, research where there is no conflict of interest, where the person who's contributing that content has skin in the game, and where that content is highly rigorous, you want to go to professional money managers. It's just that before SumZero, those guys were never sharing research in any kind of open way. And so we've really attacked that problem over the last 10 years and built out this database as being one of a kind, global, covering all market caps, all asset classes, and now delivering that to the masses for the first time, I think is pretty revolutionary.
Last simple little question. Do you guys have a message board per stock so I could look up forward and see what people are writing about it?
Not public. We do have a blog that you can access if you're not a subscriber to SumZero. But once you're in SumZero, every idea you can think of as its own message board, in the sense that there's the initiating report, but then at the bottom of that report, members of the community have the opportunity to post comments, which you can read. So oftentimes those comments are sometimes more interesting than the original report because they reflect pushback from the community.
I think I saw a report from Weston Quasha on SumZero, who's a really smart family office investor. And I was like, wow, it's really great to see, these individual investors actually, write their opinion out, because most of them just get paid and move on. And, the reports.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an example, in early 2020, I want to say like January of 2020, there was a guy who posted a long on GameStop when the stock was trading at under $4 a share.
Really? That's something, Divya, you need to get out there. That is the number one reason to join.
So this was before the whole, short squeeze thing, everything that happened in early 2021. And it's like, if you had read that report and followed up with that author and understood what his thesis was, you might have bought GameStop and been up, 50x on your investment, or 25x on your investment. And there are numerous examples like this where Wall Street is missing it. Once it's in the news, it's already like game over. You've sort of missed the opportunity. Yeah. And then the other thing that's interesting is that there's a lot of contrarian content on SumZero. So whereas, if you go on, TV and you see people like talk about Tesla's going up, whatever, it's up 100% this year or whatever. You might go on SumZero and see that somebody short that stock and learn why they think maybe it's a zero, and what sort of the risks are associated with investing. So I think if you want to have conviction behind your investing and be able to invest with size, not just like play money or not just doing this whole meme stock thing, but you want to put meaningful capital to work, you have to have done your homework, and you really have to understand the situation. You have to know what intrinsic value is for a given name. And that's exactly what SumZero provides.
But you guys uncloud the situation for a significant amount of equity that just isn't very well covered. And for serious capital that's investing in that equity, your resource is one that they really need to consider. Divya, this was a great.
I think so. There's no other place you can go to I'm aware of on the internet.
I've been thinking about it the whole 20 minutes we've been talking, and I've not really thought of a rivalry you have, or kind of.
There's no other place you can go to that has the depth of analysis available for a given idea, combined with the breadth of coverage that we have, where thousands of companies are written about. And it's
and
not.
By the way, I would urge you one last thing. You might want to consider some real estate coverage. Maybe start inviting people to write individual opinions on deals.
It's funny. We're working with a real estate firm that you would recognize. It's sort of like real estate tech, but they're going to be posting content on some of their private equity deals. Private equity deals and just private businesses in general is an area where I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to add to our research library and provide even more.
Talk to Yield Street, and you could just start getting people to write on the deals that Yield Street's putting out for their clients. And so that would be just a kind of a cool rope in. I just feel like, Yield Street has all these deals, and people who invest in Yield Street, they've got millions of members. It's a way of just kind of opening up information to just people that just isn't out there. But anyway, Divya, this was a fascinating conversation. You're the best. Really appreciate your time, and hope we get some tennis in the summer, Divya.
Sounds good. Thanks, Alex.
Pleasure is all mine.